The year is 1187. The Holy Land trembles with unrest as Christian Crusaders' grip on Jerusalem weakens. A resurgent Islamic force, led by the brilliant tactician Saladin, aims to reclaim their holy sites. The Kingdom of Jerusalem, plagued by internal strife, stands vulnerable. The fate of the Holy Land hangs in the balance. Saladin, Sultan of Egypt and Syria, rallies his forces to expel the Crusaders. His disciplined army, united by faith, stretches from Arabia to Persia. Saladin's strategic brilliance and unity contrast sharply with the divided Crusader states. The Crusaders, blind to the threat, will soon face Saladin's might. The coming conflict will test their courage and resolve. The Knights Templar, warrior monks, stand ready to defend Christendom. Renowned for their discipline and courage, they are a formidable force. Their castles, both fortresses and centers of faith, guard key routes. The Templars symbolize unwavering faith and martial prowess. The fate of Jerusalem rests on their shoulders. Saladin's power grows as the Crusader states remain fragmented. His army, united by faith, marches towards the Kingdom of Jerusalem. The Crusaders, realizing the threat, send frantic calls for aid. The Knights Templar, aware of Saladin's genius, prepare for defense. Time is of the essence to mount a successful defense. The Knights Templar prepare for the siege of Jerusalem. Under Grand Master Gerard de Riedfort, they fortify their castles. Despite their small numbers, their reputation and skills make them formidable. They plan a defensive campaign to wear down Saladin's forces. The strength of Jerusalem's fortifications and their resolve are crucial. The siege of Jerusalem begins in late May 1187. Saladin's forces surround the city, launching relentless attacks. The Knights Templar, a constant presence, inspire the city's defenders. The walls hold firm, a testament to the defenders' determination. The citizens rally behind their defenders, prepared to endure any hardship. As the siege tightens, the Templars plan a bold move. They aim to break the siege by targeting the springs of Hattin. On July 3, 1187, the Crusader army marches out. Saladin anticipates their move and springs a trap at Hattin. The Crusaders find themselves surrounded by a sea of enemies. The Battle of Hattin becomes a pivotal moment in the Crusades. The Knights Templar fight with unwavering courage, but face overwhelming odds. Despite their valor, the Crusaders are outnumbered and outmaneuvered. Saladin's forces capture the Crusader camp and the True Cross. The loss of the True Cross devastates the Crusader morale. The Battle of Hattin ends in a crushing defeat for the Crusaders. Saladin's forces march triumphantly towards Jerusalem. On October 2, 1187, Jerusalem falls to Saladin. The fall of Jerusalem sparks outrage and calls for a new crusade. The Knights Templar, though weakened, continue to defend the remaining strongholds. History remembers Gerard de Riedfort, the Grand Master who led the Knights Templar at the Battle of Hattin, as a figure shrouded in controversy. Some hail him as a paragon of Templar virtue, a fearless warrior who embodied the order's unwavering faith and martial prowess. Others criticize his leadership, pointing to his role in the disastrous decisions that led to the Crusader defeat at Hattin. De Riedfort's early life remains shrouded in mystery, his origins humble compared to the noble lineage of many Templar knights. He rose through the ranks based on his merit, skill as a warrior, and commitment to the Templar cause. A man of action, more comfortable on the battlefield than in the council chamber, his courage unquestioned, his loyalty absolute. His appointment as Grand Master in 1185 was met with mixed reactions. Some welcomed his martial experience and resolve, others questioned his temperament and strategic acumen. Despite reservations, de Riedfort assumed his role with zeal, overseeing defenses, training recruits, and gathering intelligence on Saladin's movements. The weight of command, difficult decisions in desperate times. As Saladin's forces closed in on Jerusalem, Gerard de Riedfort found himself at the heart of the storm. The weight of command rested heavily on his shoulders. He was a man of faith, But even his faith was tested in those dark days. The siege of Jerusalem was a test of endurance. Inside the city walls, supplies dwindled, morale wavered. De Riedfort, ever present on the walls, shared their hardships. His impulsiveness and unwavering belief came to the fore. He clashed with King Guy de Lusignan. De Riedfort argued for a more aggressive approach. His arguments led to the decision to confront Saladin's army. It was a gamble, staked on the belief that God would favor the righteous. Section 3. A legacy forged in blood and fire. The Templar Grand Master's final stand. The Battle of Hattin sealed Gerard de Riedfort's fate, etching his name in Templar history. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, de Riedfort led his knights with unwavering courage. His charges broke through enemy lines, carving a bloody path through Saladin's ranks. But for every Muslim soldier that fell, 2 more took his place. The Templars fought with the courage of desperation, their white surcoats stained crimson. De Riedfort, wounded but unbroken, fought on, a beacon of defiance. He was captured alongside King Guy, his fate uncertain. Saladin offered him a chance to convert to Islam, to save his life. De Riedfort refused, choosing death over dishonor. His execution marked the end of an era. Gerard de Riedfort's legacy remains a subject of debate. Was he a reckless zealot or a courageous warrior? Perhaps he was a mix of both, shaped by the violence and piety of his age. The spiritual foundation of the Templar Order. The Knights Templar were not merely soldiers of fortune. They were a religious order, bound by sacred vows and driven by a profound spiritual calling. Their faith was the bedrock of their existence. To understand the Templars, one must first understand the depth of their faith. Founded after the First Crusade, the Templars emerged from religious fervor. Jerusalem had been captured, but the surrounding lands were dangerous. Pilgrims faced constant threats. The Templar Order was born to protect these travelers. Their founding ethos was rooted in piety and self-sacrifice. They renounced worldly possessions and swore vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. They dedicated their lives to the service of God and the defense of Christendom. Their commitment to their vows was unwavering. They lived austere lives filled with prayer, training, and acts of charity. Their monasteries served as centers of religious devotion and military preparation. Section 2. A Warrior's Faith, the Templar Code of Conduct. The Templars lived by a strict code, blending monastic discipline and military pragmatism. Known as the Latin Rule, it governed their lives, from battle conduct to interactions with others. On the battlefield, they were renowned for their courage, discipline, and chivalry. They fought with faith, believing death in battle led to salvation. They were forbidden from cruelty, looting, or mistreating prisoners. Off the battlefield, they lived lives of humility and service. Their time was dedicated to prayer, training, and charity. Their presence on the battlefield symbolized hope and righteous fury. Facing death with courage and conviction. Central to the Templar ethos was the concept of martyrdom. They believed sacrificing their lives in defense of the faith was the highest calling. This belief instilled in them an almost supernatural courage. The Templars viewed death as a transition to the arms of God. Their sacrifices assured their place in paradise. This belief led to a disregard for their own safety. Their enemies often attributed this courage to madness. For the Templars, it was simply a matter of faith. They were soldiers of God, and their lives were His to take. Their willingness to lay down their lives became one of their most potent weapons. This belief in martyrdom was not without its critics. Some questioned whether this emphasis on dying for the faith blinded the Templar leadership. Regardless, their courage and conviction remain a defining aspect of their legacy. Section 1. The Aftermath of Hattin, a Shattered Kingdom, a Faith Tested. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, bloody shadows across the plains of Hattin. The silence, broken only by the moans of the dying, was a stark contrast to the day's earlier chaos. The Crusader army, once a proud force, lay in ruins, its ranks shattered, its spirit broken. The flower of Christian chivalry lay dead or dying, the scorching sands stained crimson with their blood. For the Knights Templar, the defeat at Hattin was a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions. Hundreds of their brethren, including their Grand Master Gerard de Riedfort, were prisoners of Saladin, their fate uncertain. Those who had escaped the carnage, their numbers few, made their way to the coastal cities, carrying with them the bitter news of the disaster. The loss of Hattin sent shockwaves through the remaining Crusader strongholds. Panic spread like wildfire, fueled by rumors of Saladin's ruthlessness and the seemingly unstoppable advance of his army. The Christian inhabitants of Jerusalem, once confident in their city's defenses, now faced the terrifying prospect of conquest by a force they had underestimated. The defeat at Hattin was more than a military disaster. It was a spiritual crisis for Christendom. The loss of the true cross, a relic believed to possess miraculous powers, shook the faith of many. How could God, they questioned, allow such a calamity to befall his chosen warriors? Where was his divine protection when it was needed most? In the wake of his victory at Hattin, Saladin, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria, stood at the pinnacle of his power. The Crusader army lay in ruins, its leaders captured, its spirit broken. Jerusalem, the prize he had coveted for so long, lay ripe for the taking. Yet, despite his triumph, Saladin displayed a degree of mercy that surprised both his followers and his enemies. While many Christian prisoners were executed or sold into slavery, a fate often meted out to defeated enemies in those brutal times, Saladin chose to spare the lives of a select group of Templar knights. His reasons for doing so remain a subject of debate among historians. Some believe that Saladin, a devout Muslim, respected the Templars' military prowess and their unwavering commitment to their faith. He saw in them a reflection of his warriors, men driven by faith and duty. Others speculate that he hoped to use the captured knights as bargaining chips in future negotiations with the Crusader states. Whatever his motivations, Saladin's decision to spare the Templar knights fueled speculation and intrigue. Rumors spread throughout the Holy Land and beyond, whispers of secret agreements, of ransoms paid, of shadowy figures operating behind the scenes. Some even whispered that Saladin had developed a grudging respect for the Templar order, that he saw in them a potential ally against common enemies. The fate of those Templar knights spared by Saladin remains shrouded in mystery, their stories lost to the mists of time. Did they languish in captivity, their dreams of glory shattered, their faith tested in the crucible of imprisonment? Or did they find a way to escape their captors, their skills honed on the battlefield put to use in daring acts of evasion and subterfuge? Some accounts speak of Templar knights surfacing years later, their hair and beards streaked with gray, their bodies bearing the scars of captivity, their eyes haunted by the memories of what they had endured. They told tales of hardship and resilience, of faith tested and found true, of a brotherhood forged in the fires of adversity. Others whispered of Templar knights who had embraced a different path, their loyalties shifting in the aftermath of Hattin. Some, it was said, had renounced their vows, seeking refuge in the anonymity of civilian life, their past a burden they could no longer bear. Others, more troubling rumors suggested, had turned their backs on their Christian faith, converting to Islam and joining the ranks of their former captors. The truth, as is often the case with events shrouded in the mists of time, remains elusive. The fate of the spared Templar knights serves as a reminder of the enduring power of mystery, the human fascination with the unknown, and the enduring legacy of an order that, even in defeat, continues to captivate the imagination. The Battle of Hattin, though a devastating defeat, became a defining moment in Templar history. Their courage and unwavering faith cemented their legend. Their sacrifice inspired awe and trepidation, passed down through generations. The defeat reminded them of the temporal nature of power and the need for vigilance. Humbled and tested, the Templars underwent introspection and reform. Lessons from Hattin shaped their future tactics and organization. Emerging stronger, they remained committed to their sacred mission. The fate of the spared Templars, shrouded in mystery, continues to fascinate. The echoes of Hattin resonate, shaping their legacy and ensuring their memory endures. The year 1187 marked a turning point in the Crusades, a devastating blow to Christian aspirations in the Holy Land. The loss of Jerusalem, the heart of Christendom, sent shockwaves throughout Europe, casting a long shadow over the ideals that had fueled the Crusades for nearly a century. Yet, from the ashes of defeat, the legend of the Knights Templar emerged, their courage and sacrifice at Hattin etching their names into the annals of history. Despite the disastrous outcome at Hattin, the Templar spirit remained unbroken. The order, though diminished in number, regrouped and rebuilt, their resolve strengthened by adversity. They continued to play a vital role in the defense of the remaining Crusader strongholds, their castles standing as bastions of defiance against the rising tide of Islamic power. The Templars' unwavering commitment to their cause, their willingness to face death with courage and conviction, resonated deeply with people across Europe. Their story, recounted by returning pilgrims and veterans of the Crusades, captured the imagination, transforming them into symbols of Christian chivalry and martial prowess. The Order's reputation as fierce warriors and devout men of faith attracted new recruits, eager to don the white mantle and take up the sword in defense of Christendom. The Templars' influence extended far beyond the battlefield, their financial acumen and organizational skills transforming them into a powerful economic force, their wealth and influence rivaling that of kings and princes. The Templars' legacy extends far beyond their military exploits and financial prowess. They became symbols of courage, faith, and sacrifice, their image emblazoned on everything from stained glass windows to battle standards, their story inspiring generations of artists, writers, and musicians. Their distinctive white mantles, adorned with the blood-red cross, became an emblem of unwavering faith, a symbol of the struggle between good and evil, a reminder of the sacrifices made in the name of a higher cause. Their castles, strategically placed throughout Europe and the Holy Land, served as reminders of their power and influence, their imposing walls echoing with the whispers of history, the ghosts of battles fought and lives lost in the name of faith. The Templars' story, however, is not without its dark side. As their power and wealth grew, so too did suspicions and accusations. Rumors of heresy, of secret rituals, and of unholy alliances swirled around the Order, fueled by envy, fear, and the machinations of powerful enemies. In the early 14th century, King Philip IV of France, motivated by greed and a desire to consolidate his power, accused the Templars of heresy and blasphemy. The charges, though largely fabricated, led to the Order's suppression, its knights arrested, tortured, and burned at the stake, their treasures seized by the king. The demise of the Knights Templar did little to diminish their legend. Their persecution enhanced their mystique, transforming them into figures of myth and legend. Their story became intertwined with tales of hidden treasure, secret societies, and ancient knowledge. They became the subject of countless books, films, and video games, their image endlessly recycled. The enduring fascination with the Knights Templar speaks to our fascination with the past and the power of stories.